Yo guys, welcome to NorCal Cycling Full Races. We're trying something new today. I have a guest on, Will. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
So instead of just full races, here's what we're doing. You guys, if you don't know Will, shame on you. Go check out his YouTube channel. Will Harden, right? It's just your name?
Yep, Will Harden.
Project Echelon. He makes amazing race breakdown videos of high-level racing just like this. But instead of the full race, just raw audio, I want to do like a single take, no edits, full podcast style of these Intelligentsia races. This is stage 3. This is Winfield. And what do you think, Will? Should we just try to rip it? Like no cut, 75 minutes? Can we do it?
Yeah, jump in. Go for it.
I'm pretty enthusiastic about bikes. I think I can talk for 75 minutes about bikes.
We can handle this.
And I know that you're good at talking into a microphone about bikes too. So let's just talk bikes, man. So yeah, stage 3, Intelligentsia, Winfield's Pro Men Field, 100 starters-ish, something like that. High-level racing here, guys. We had, of course, Project Echelon. Welcome to the channel, Will. You guys came out with 4 or 5 teammates, something like that?
Yeah, it varied throughout the race. I think at this one we had 4 guys. So small crew, but killers nonetheless.
Killers. You guys we're going to talk a lot more about you guys and how good of wheels you were to follow throughout this series, but other notable competition, I mean, Legion was here. We had Mito Q, Blazers, Aviators. There was Canadian team, I think. Yep. Who am I missing? Butcher Box. A million people who are super strong. This is the highest level of U.S. crit racing, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of teams from all over. I don't know if anybody was expecting this series to be as difficult as it ended up being.
So if you guys remember this course, I made a video about it last year. This is the one where I built a bike in the parking lot like 20 minutes before the race started. I had a much better experience today. This is the 3rd stage. I think it takes me a couple of days at these big level, these high level crit series to like kind of just get my feet wet, you know, and like get used to bumping and going 30 miles an hour through these corners. So I was feeling better here, and I kind of knew that my approach is going to be a bit different than the first couple of days. I really wanted to stick a breakaway. I'd realized going up against like a full squad of Legion riders and Blazers with their lead-out train, it was going to be hard for me to find a result in like a pure field sprint. So I was really looking for breakaway success. That's how I've stood on the box here at Intelligentsia before, and that's what I figured my best shot would be in this race too. So I'm going to try to move up and make that possible. But Will, tell us your plan. You guys had 4 riders, like you said. What was your approach? What was your best shot at stage success?
Yeah, I think actually into this day we kind of realized it probably wasn't going to be a day for a breakaway, but I hate to hear that news. So I'm always sniffing for a little bit of a breakaway. Our main focus for this race was actually how we were going to line up in the end for our sprint. So that was our intentions into the day, but I did sniff around for a breakaway a good bit in the beginning here until I realized that, 36 miles an hour is not easy to do alone.
This start-finish straight. Actually, that's a good opportunity to talk about the course. The start-finish straight is long. You guys can see the course in the bottom right. It is a rectangle. It is very straightforward. Although it is on a bit of a hill, like not really, but it's enough to, like Will said, go 36 miles an hour every single time down into the start-finish. At the finish, it was well over 40 miles an hour, which is crazy to think that we're on bikes with basically rubber bands for tires, going that fast sometimes, and we're wearing underwear essentially, right? So sometimes I wonder what has gone wrong with our brains, Will, but I love it, dude. I can't get enough of it, and
adrenaline rush for sure.
Oh God, yeah. Like I used to tell my buddy, try to think about anything else in the last lap of a crit. Just try it. It's impossible. Like you're so in the moment, and that's what I love about it. But here we are on the backside. This is where there's like a little bit of a hill. You don't really feel it too much. We're still going 28 miles an hour here mid-pack, and everything kind of bunches up into this left-hander. This is corner 3, and this was the most consequential corner in the course, I would say. What do you think, Will? Did you find any success in that corner?
Yeah, I think actually you could, right as you were saying that, you saw Ty Magner just chop the inside and almost hit those cones. It was probably the tightest corner somehow, and yet sometimes you just get bunched up into it. I would say consequential for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure why. I can't put my finger on it, but last year was the same, and it was even more terrifying last year because it wasn't the same level. It was fast, don't get me wrong, but faster things are, the safer they are. It's kind of counterintuitive. It's like the old adage, like, you know, a sharp knife is a safer knife because you're not gonna like try to muscle it, you know. It's the same thing with bike racing. Like the stakes are a bit higher if you crash at a higher rate of speed, but it's also lower risk because it doesn't bunch up as much.
You get sliced in a predictable way.
Right, yeah. And in this case, like, if you're going to crash when it's going that fast, it's probably because you took a bad corner, and it's probably because you clipped a pedal or just had a really bad line, and it's going to generally be on you. But when things slow down and you have riders, you know, dive in the inside, chopping wheels, and that's when it becomes dangerous, out of your control. And that, to me, is the most terrifying thing. So I was stoked to see the level of racing just gets higher and higher out here. But yeah, here's Ty on my wheel. We're both trying to find the front, apparently. Yeah. I feel like I found some decent lines. Outside right here was one of them. Oh. I generally found pretty good line outside. And here's what I liked about the outside line is there's an out. You can bail into the grass. Oh, my God, look at this guy on the right. Whoa. Did you see that?
Whoa.
Yeah, super aggressive. So that's the way the racing is out here, people taking unnecessary risks. I wish they wouldn't, but that's just kind of how some people were. But like I was saying, through consequential corner number 3, the outside line is where I found pretty good way to move up. Mm-hmm. And there is an out. There isn't a curb out over there like there is here. So if you get pushed wide, you just ride into the grass. You can pop back in. No reason really to crash. And you come back down through the start finish, and it's ripping fast into corner number 1. Outside, in general, outside was where I found success on this course.
There tended to be a lot more space there. Into that corner, you could kind of ride the swarm into it a lot of the time too. And so a lot of the time, racers would actually like defend the inside more than they needed to, and then you would lose momentum just because people are swarming on the outside.
Yeah, another reason why I in this case prefer the outside line is you can pedal through it easier. If you take a tighter inside line, yes, it's the shorter line. I understand that's generally the faster race line, but that's like when you're by yourself, and there's pack dynamics is important, guys. Mm-hmm. Outside line, you can just pedal, right? Like you can generally conserve your speed and your momentum a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, this corner too, the inside there, it's not any faster. You're not really gonna gain many positions in that corner either way. It's just about saving your momentum in the best way possible.
Right. Johnny Brown just demonstrated that. If you guys saw him in the rear camera, the Blazer, he came up the inside. I left a little gap open, and he went mine. And I should have defended that better. Like that was him just conserving his speed way better. He didn't have to spike up the power like I did, and that was just a good move. That's what you're looking for. I feel like so much, like guys, you know, I do a lot of these Alviso commentaries, right? That course is not about pack dynamics. It's wide open, it's windy, the corners are simple. It's almost like just like who can Hulk their bike better and like understand the motivation of other riders. But at Intelligentsia, these big, huge fields, really high level of racing on generally shorter courses. This is still, even though it's a simple course, it's a short course. It's so much more about pack dynamics and finding those little wins. Mm-hmm. I find that like if you can find a good line, keep repeating it. Hey, I found this one position where I can move up 3 places for free. Do that every lap. And every, like 90 seconds, you're going to get 3 positions for free. You're going to find yourself at the front pretty quick.
Yeah, just slowly whittle away. I think a few of the veterans that actually came out to watch us, they were commenting on how many laps it would take me to get to the front from when I started on the back every day. And they would just count every day to see how quickly I could get up there. But yeah, you just got to whittle as fast as you can.
Yeah, and I did find myself doing what I did in the previous videos that are on the channel, which is like occasionally I just kind of pop out and be like, okay, like I'm just going to get out in the wind, do 600 watts for a little bit and move up. And sometimes that investment in energy pays dividends because then you're in the position where you're up towards the front and you're not just battling. But if you can do it a more efficient way and finding small wins, 3-4 wheels at a time mid-pack, that's like while staying in the draft, that's the real efficient way to do it. And I think that's one of the big separators people don't realize between really high level, national level guys who are winning these races and then everybody else, which is they are so good at that, right? That pack dynamic is so important. It's not about the watts so much as it is just finding those little gaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just having way more energy at the end than anybody else does. I actually am noticing something right now, which is your hand position. Do you prefer riding in the hoods for most of the race?
do as I say, not as I do situation, Will. I tell people all the time you should be racing in the drops, like the entire crit, and
Yeah.
I don't follow my own advice. You're right. I am in the hoods. I would say in general, unless things are just really white-knuckled, I am in the hoods for 80% of crit races. I shouldn't be.
Right.
So don't do what I do. Get used to riding in the drops. But when push comes to shove and when things get really fast, you will see my hand position drop. Look at this outside line's good, right? I just moved up a few more spots.
Yeah.
And I'm not even doing any power. Like, see, those are the wins. And like what my teammate Roman said, find the thing that you're good at on the course and don't overcomplicate it. Just try to replicate that thing that is working. Because if you try to do 5 things, you're not gonna. What is it? Bird in the hand is worth 5 in the book. What is that expression? Something like that.
That's right. Just focus on the things you do got.
That's right. And that outside line on corner 3 was pretty good for me. And I'm gonna rip it here because I'm towards the front, and I'm just gonna send it because guys, don't forget, my goal here is to try to join a breakaway. I'm committing some energy. That wasn't so bad though. I got a good slingshot. I don't think I went up over 600-700 watts. And look, we're close to 40 miles an hour on this finishing straight. It was so fast, and coming to this corner, not having to worry about a whole pack felt pretty good too. But you can see the class of the field. Look, they're right on me. I mean, it was so hard. You're totally right, Will. It's just hard on this course to find a gap.
Yeah, and you saw Ty even let that gap go there, which is interesting that he would do that. But it could be another energy-saving tactic. And then he's back in the course. Probably has not done that 400-watt burner that you did. I mean. They were racing very interestingly for this race. I think Sam Boardman took a flyer off the front for a while too.
I remember that. In fact, that might be him right there doing it. That might be,
It does
that might be
look
the start
like
of it. But I'm trying to fight for my good position up here and not get shuffled too far back because I don't want to be back there, and I want to stay efficient up here. But it's easier said than done. I mean, I'm getting past on the left and the right here.
If you get chopped the wrong way into that corner too, you do have to do a little surge to stay on that wheel. Especially into that finish straight where you do have to put some energy out just to stay in the wheel. I remember this being particularly a drag. I guess you can see your power there is pretty high for a sustained amount of time.
Yeah, and I pedaled through corner 4 too, so I didn't have to scrub any of my speed, and I was still doing close to 1,000 out of the corner and then like 500-600 through that corner. So you're totally right. And what happened was I think that Legion did go and people weren't happy with that, so the chase was on, and yeah, I mean, along for the ride. Like I wasn't in a position to join that one because that's the thing about me, guys. Is probably know this by now, but I don't have that keep going one after another type of energy. I have more of those fast twitch muscles where I can burn the whole book of matches pretty quickly, but I can't do that slow burn one after another. So if I go for a break, even as pedestrian as that seemed, that effort that I made, I got to sit back, rest for a while, and I got to choose wisely. Like right here, that looks pretty good. Oh, I am going to go for it. Okay, well, that was about as least amount of rest as I wanted. Sorry, Will, what were you saying?
No. That's
this is you chasing me back, dude.
On your wheel right there. Yeah. I am pulling you back in.
How dare you?
I thought it looked good too.
How dare you? Should have let me go. Oh, look, that's why. There's another group of 3. There's another little group of 3 up there. And this is the pattern that you want, right? Is like, I want Mido Q to miss a move and then try to chase it back and then me just go along for the ride. Like that's the pattern I want, but obviously that doesn't work. And I'm not going to chase here. Like, yeah, I'm doing some power, but you can see it drops down now. Like I am under no obligation to chase on behalf of these big teams. Don't forget, guys, I'm out here without teammates.
Yeah, that's on the shoulders of other bigger teams, which it seems like they were much more willing to do these little bridge attempts, and try and bring it back in that way instead of actually pulling on the front in any concerted way.
Right, and I am going to do enough power here to stay on the front because if I just push 300 for a little bit longer, I can take this corner first.
Yeah.
And taking this corner first, look, you don't have to coast, you don't have to use your brakes, you don't even have to stop pedaling, and just take that so much faster, so much more efficient. Every time you stop pedaling, I think it's a misconception. If you stop pedaling, it's almost like you're using brakes in crit racing. You don't want to do that because you're scrubbing your speed, right? It's all about having a consistent output in energy. So if you're using your brakes, that's especially bad. But even if you stop pedaling, you have to get back up to speed. Guys, we averaged over 30 miles an hour in this race. So anytime you're at 27 miles an hour, which seems fast, it's not. That means you have to go 33 somewhere else on the course in order to keep up that average of 30 miles an hour. That's one way to look at it. And that's the reason I put in a little bit more of an effort there through that corner. But how are you feeling in this race? Third day, Will.
I guess you can see me right there on the left. I actually do have a bandage on from my crash the day before, so a little bruised up from that. But my legs were totally fine. This is not my ideal course. I definitely do have kind of the opposite rider type to you, where I can burn a match at a time for like 3 hours, but my whole match book was not going to be burned in any efficient way at the end, so my efforts are also best focused on keeping the field together, using that strength. But yeah, the corners felt good. Like, the speed felt good. I enjoyed the kind of the safeness of this course, except for that third corner,
Right, yeah. No, this was a breath of fresh air compared to the year before. But would you say that, like, getting Sam to the finish was probably your guys' best shot at a result?
Yeah. Having Sam and Ethan at the finish in the best position they possibly could be in, that's what we needed to go for. So keeping any breaks kind of in check with Hugo and I is going to be a good way to go, and then just using Hugo and I to the best ability at the end to kind of keep them swept so they don't have to fight for position as hard, and then burn a match if we need to get them moved up into a good spot.
Yeah, and it seemed like you guys had a plan. I don't know. I mean, let me tell you what I thought your plan was. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me like Blazers and Legion, and then maybe to a lesser extent the Aviators, were really taking up the charge in the final 5-10 laps of these races. And you guys just don't have like 8 riders. It's different when you only have 4.
Right.
It seemed like you guys were waiting, and like you said, you and Hugo were doing your best just to keep your sprinters, Ethan and Sam, in position for when Legion and Blazers really crank it up to 11. And it seemed like you guys were really patient in that respect, which is, I think, is how you have to play it when you have 4 riders. Is that anywhere near the truth? Is that how you guys were racing?
Yeah, that checks out. Once we see teams like Blazers or Legion get to the front, ideally we would be kind of behind their train. In reality, what tends to happen is there's 3 other teams that are also thinking that, so you just kind of rotate behind them in some sort of swarm manner. And it does cost a little bit of energy compared to if you had those guys at the front, but doing the best we can to kind of preserve that energy for our key guys, that is the way to go. And Hugo, I guess he would be our kind of our captain for the day. He would be kind of driving our train, and then I'm sitting on either Sam or Ethan's wheel on the back, trying to sweep, keeping people stopping the corners. Because that sweeping position, it does cost a lot of energy. You have to accelerate around guys and push them out of your train if they try to get in. So there's a few different jobs that we assigned at the beginning of this race.
Right. And that's what you have to do with a smaller squad, is you have to be able to adapt to whatever's going on. But I think ideally that's the way that we would race it too on Mike's bikes, with a smaller squad in a big race like this. And that's smart to have that sweeper position, because trust me, guys, I was in that position of being solo and not having the team support on in front and behind me, and it's tough. Like, that washing machine is no joke. That's the reason why I was not stoked about finding a result out of a big mass 100-rider field sprint. And I was truly trying to find a breakaway, because I was really struggling to find efficiency. And it sounds so easy. It's like, just follow the Legion lead out. It's like, but everybody wants to do that. You know what I mean? And there's only really like 2 or 3 spots that are ideally set up to benefit from the Legion lead out. And you have to fight off another 87 riders to make that possible. So that's the difficulty, and we're going to see a lot more of that at the end of this race. But for now, I think more of me trying not to find myself in a field sprint situation, which is so weird, Will, because that's my thing is like
Right.
locally I'm like, yeah, field sprint, let's do this. Like that's where I get my best results. But this is another level, and then you remove my team support, and it's like, ooh, now that's a double. Now it
Right.
really hurts, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have a team, you have to either be really aggressive to stay in that position, or you just have to follow that swarm, which was possible on this course, but it adds an element of randomness into your race strategy. So,
You're exactly right, because it's funny, and this will be a theme in these races. Is there'll be a moment. There'll probably be like 4 moments in the last 10 laps where I'm like, I really wish this was last lap because I am 6th wheel right behind Legion, and then one corner later I'm 25th wheel
yep.
and I've been shuffled back. Really, nothing I can do about it. And yeah, riding that wave and getting the timing right, sometimes it's just oftentimes it's just out of your control, and that'll be a theme going through these. So you hit the nail on the head, but I'm still moving up here. I'm trying to find good lines. And
Yeah, on that finish straight there, you did kind of that like almost in the wind burner, and you did make up a lot of positions that it doesn't look like you've lost yet.
Yeah, well, give me a minute.
Right. I
I'll
mean, your
lose 'em.
heart rate's still controlled here, so it doesn't seem like you burned too big of a match.
Right. This was a good day for me, despite how it looks. I mean, we're still pretty early on in this race, but I was like doing things like, you know, if you guys watched the last 2 videos, I was kind of struggling. One was the elements, and it was just the situation of the brake going away in the first 2 corners, and then the day before, I was just overpowered on that course, outclassed on that course. It was really hard. Day number 1, but this was like the first day which is day number 3, the first time where I was like, oh, like I'm a factor, like I belong, you know, that feeling of like I'm not just pack fodder, I belong, which was a relief because I'm up against the best out here, and it feels good to actually do things and be consequential. And yeah, trying for a breakaway is not easy. I come back, I sit in, I recover, and then I try again. Do you guys stay together more or less throughout the race? Will, do you try to? What's the general plan?
It really does depend on what the race strategy is. If we're going for a breakaway, oftentimes we need to kind of keep the guys separated so we can cover more moves in different intervals. And then if we are going for that pack finish, we do tend to stay together a little bit more, even if it's not communicated at the beginning of the race. We'll just tend to move together so we can keep that communication between each other, because we don't have radios for these races. So being close to each other is key in communicating.
Right. Right, and I like the idea early on too, like divide and conquer. You know, if you're all together and the break goes, well, you've all missed it. You know.
Yeah.
So probably you could, and you guys are all capable. Like you don't have. I feel like Legion, there's much more specific roles. Like we talked about Tyler, or Ty, earlier.
Yeah.
Letting that gap go, and I think part of the reason he was doing that, it seemed kind of weird. Like, why would he just let that gap open up with no teammates? It's like, well, that's not his job, you know. Like he's saving his legs for the finish. He's got 7 teammates whose job is it to close that down. So he's not going to be worried about it. But you have to be much more versatile when you have 4 riders, and I think that you guys are good representation of that. You have riders capable of winning field sprints, of winning from a breakaway, and you guys kind of wear all the hats, right?
Yeah, I think one of our strengths on the team is actually we excel when everybody else is a little more tired. So if we can make the race harder on the whole pack, our chances go up pretty exponentially. That's how during Sunny King this past year, we just attacked relentlessly, and it played into our favor pretty well. We can all sprint about the same at the end of a really hard race as we can at the end of a really easy race. So that has to play into our strategy most of the time.
So make it as hard as possible.
Yeah, make it difficult.
Yeah, which is hard on a course like this, right?
This course, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned right off the top, and I think that's just the nature of these courses sometimes. You know, identifying which ones work for you, which ones don't, and then racing accordingly is a really important skill. How'd you end up on Project Echelon anyway?
So I actually started with like an accidental guest ride year right after COVID. I had some pretty good training, but I won a stage race called the Commerce Stage Race, and I think it's in Georgia. And actually Ty was there at the race, and I like happened to solo off, or I didn't solo off the front. I was in a breakaway of 3, and the team was like, "Oh, come on!" And then I actually almost lapped the field in a the Johnson City Omnium with like two human powered health guys, and they were like, you know what? I guess you're done guest riding. So that was my emergence into the team.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's our general policy on Mike's bikes too. Is like, it's not who you know. There's no. It's just pure meritocracy. Like, are you threatening to beat us? Then we will sign you. Like
right.
that's the way that works. It's not
Yeah.
complicated.
I
People
think
ask me all the time, "Can I join?" I'm like, "Well, come out and beat us." And then
yeah.
like that's the quickest way.
Right. It does. I mean, for a lot of these teams, it does matter that you're capable of impacting a race, but it does also matter your attitude and whether or not you're going to gel with the guys, which I think with a lot of the new teams that we've seen, just like with the insurgence of many new teams the past year or two, it's interesting to see how they're communicating with one another and how they're kind of sorting out their team cultures, which I think on Echelon we have a really strong team culture. So yeah, just watching other teams do that I'm curious how they're handling it, really.
Yeah, so I was oversimplifying a little bit. I mean, obviously, like there are riders who are strong but ride selfishly, and we would never. But we like that's usually pretty easy to identify,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like you get a good result and you're immediately on the team. It's more like a guest ride or like we'll pay closer attention to how you're doing, sort of thing. Like it's a bit more involved, but but that is the easiest way. Like demonstrate that you understand good bike racing strategy, can execute it, and that's the quickest way.
Yeah, absolutely. The merit part does play in a lot of the time. You still have to be a good bike racer, yeah, absolutely, but you also have to be a good person, you know?
Yeah. So how long ago was that? Did you say?
Oh, I've been on the team for 3 years. This you can actually see the team in the red pants right in front. That's the development team I was on before. So I've been racing probably 8 years, 5 with that team, and then yeah, the past 3 years have been with Echelon.
And there you are in the rear camera.
There I am in the rear cam. All come for full circle.
Yeah, here you're about to show up in the front camera because I'm not going fast enough, man.
Following that little surge up the right side. And
Yeah.
yeah, it looked like the pack, they have these little gaps that open in this, and a lot of people would be nervous about that gap opening up. And it looks like I was also nervous about it, but I don't think there were any substantial splits during this race.
No, I think the biggest one was Sam by himself, which was like never going to happen. Sam is a freak of nature and
Yeah.
he's really strong and really aero, but like on this course, I just don't think there's any way like World Tour time trialists can come out, and I don't think they're going to be able to ride at 32 miles an hour for 75 minutes.
Yeah, it's
on a road bike. Let me qualify that on a road bike.
Right. I mean, even on a time trial bike, that's a hard effort for sure. But yeah, this race is bound to be a pack sprint just from kind of the dynamics that we saw. And usually we'll have like a team meeting halfway through the race where we're like, hey, has that plan changed that we talked about at the beginning? And during this part, we're like, yeah, this is definitely not a breakaway day. We don't think.
There's my outside line.
Yeah, you took it. Hey,
Okay.
and we're meeting up again.
Yeah. Hey, slow down, man. Let me get on real fast.
You had momentum. Easy wheel.
Yeah, I'm coming. Give me a second. I'm just doing 800 watts to get on.
Just
you're
as I say,
up
we're
there.
not being in a breakaway. This is our break attempt right here.
Hey, dude, we got a gap.
Yeah, it looks so good for a while, and then all of a sudden the pack's just coming at you.
I know. And then right here, I'm like, no, Sam, jump on. Like, let's go. And
Yeah,
also
gotta-
Blazer, jump on.
Yeah.
Like, we need you two guys
or else we'll just get chased down. I think this
by
was
all of your teammates. Right.
this was the only part in the race where I was like, we might actually have a chance, but
Yeah, I had a handful more that we'll see. But yeah, it's God, that was a big effort too. Like,
yeah.
like you guys saw the power requirement to make that possible in a local, even one of the bigger local and Northern California P12 crits. Like this would be 100% breakaway.
Yeah, this is a hard effort, and we're going super fast. Like,
And you keep checking because
Yeah.
they're pretty much on.
Yeah.
You're still gonna drill it. Am I gonna oblige with the elbow flick?
I think I saw a little bit of a gap, and I was like, it's time to go. Oh, and then I proceeded to
Going?
sit up pretty hard. Oh,
I'm hitting 400. I'm going. I'm
you're
not.
pulling?
Yeah, sort of. I'm not like super committed, but I definitely, like I said before, want to get to this corner first. Like, if nothing else, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just single file. I don't think there's a gap. It looks like in the rear camera, yeah, it's all together.
Wild.
Is that crazy? Yeah, that would be a breakaway with a 20-second gap. Like, even in a big, but guys, this is the next level of racing. Can we talk about that for a second? Because one of my favorite parts about going out and doing like 10 days of Intelligentsia or like National or like any of these big crits, you know, could be Toad, could be any of them. You come back and you feel like a total rock star in your local P12 scene. Do you get that same vibe?
Yeah, there's no contesting for corners the same way. You know, you're not bumping elbows every single corner. You feel at home, you know?
Yeah, and just feel like you can control. Like at any moment, I could move to where I want to be in this group.
Absolutely.
Not this group, at the hypothetical one back home.
Yeah. There's actually a weird dynamic that I've experienced in local racing lately where I can choose what person is gonna win, but I'm gonna get chased down until either everybody cracks or like I let that one person go and everybody else looks at me. I don't know if you've experienced something similar where you're kind of marked in your hometown races.
Oh yeah. Alviso especially, but like, so it's a little different. So, yes, at Alviso I show up by myself, no teammates, and absolutely, I make videos about that. You guys can check those out.
Right.
But then even like on Mike's bikes, when we show up to one of the bigger P12 races, whether it's a crit or road race, we are definitely in the driver's seat, for good or for bad. Of like, okay, like you guys won this last year, or like you guys have, you know, the race favorite, let's say, if it's a climb or a sprint or whatever. So we can usually dictate the terms of the race, and yeah, it'll be kind of up to us. Like generally, we do a pretty good job because of that vibe we have on the team. Like you mentioned, you know, it's important that the energy is right as teammates, and you guys work well together, and we're generally good at setting things up for ourselves. But yeah, on occasion we'll get it wrong, and then like we'll let that breakaway go, and we shouldn't have, because it's got the guy that can do the thing, and it'll be like Tobin or somebody, right? And he'll do the thing and he'll beat us. And that almost happened, by the way, this year at our race that we sponsor. We almost lost it. and yeah, it's interesting. Like generally, it's not that we let the person win, but it's like kind of like we didn't do the thing that we should have done, and we end up losing because we beat ourselves, right?
It's easy to do in those local races where everybody's eyes are on you, you know? You've got to keep your eyes on everyone else somehow.
But here's the thing, like, we try to play that into our favor. I'm not trying to give up any Mike's Bike secrets here. It shouldn't be a secret. But guys, the lead out's not as fast as it seems. Like the funny thing, and I guarantee you that Legion does the same thing, just at a higher level of racing. But when we show up for like a local P12 crit, by the way, I found another good outside line. I love that outside line.
That is a good line.
When we line up at 10 laps to go or whatever at the local P12 crit, and there's 6 Mike's Bikes riders, we are not going that fast at 10 to go, because it's 10 to go. Like we can't go 500 watts, 34 miles an hour for 10 laps. Nobody can. So what we do is we just go fast enough where nobody wants to come over the top. And a funny thing happens, because everyone's looking at us. They're like, oh, shit, well, Mike's Bikes is taking the front. Now I guess we'll just kind of all fight for their wheel. And then we literally slow it down, and we just rotate our guys. And I don't know, kind of a secret, but it shouldn't be, like, just attack. And like that's how you put the pressure on us. We're actually not going as fast as you think. And an attack could easily go over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the main part about being in that train is you're going hard on the sections where you think you could be attacked, you know? So you're just trying to mess with everybody's brains back there. Like, they think it's that hard to attack, and that's the point of the train.
No, you're totally right. Yeah, when we think we might get like the long straightaway, we'll step on it a little bit. Going through the technical section, not so much. We'll take really clean, simple lines and be as efficient as possible. But yeah, it's just not what people often realize.
Yeah, absolutely. How far into this race are we right now? Did you see the lap counter there by chance?
I think, were they 1 kilometer laps? It's 25 kilometers to go. So probably 25 laps. We're getting there. I'm gonna take another rip. I think I do, if I remember correctly. This was a week ago. No, this was longer. This was like almost 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it feels like a long time. I just noticed that like it's kind of getting weird in the race right now. It looks like everybody's starting to suffer a little bit.
Yeah, which is when it's even more important to stay towards the front. And yeah, I'm gonna fight for those positions. The heart rate's still in check. Still feeling pretty good. I want to stay up here, not fall too far back. So finding this is good. Finding these when it shuffles like this, you want to be on the winning side of that. Usually, you'll see one side surge, the other side kind of fall back, and sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. In this case, I got it right, and look how much faster I'm able to take this corner. Right? It's like, and I pedaled through the whole thing. You can pedal through that whole thing. Is that funny?
Yeah, you can carry so much speed solo rider. Yeah, I always equate that little wave, like following the wave. It kind of feels like boogie boarding to me. Like you can't help but like giggle a little bit because nobody else is really getting the same effort. It's fun.
Oh, there goes the big counter by Blazer.
Whoa.
Ooh, followed by Legion. That looks pretty good. Even if I could do something about it, which I probably can't, I'm just a prisoner here, right? This is. Oh, I remember this moment.
Oh.
That's Robin, race leader, and he came flying. He didn't realize that curb just kind of deteriorates into nothing, and he came flying in. And I don't know if the GoPro audio picked it up, but I was like, "Thank you for not crashing." He's like, "No, never again." Because don't forget, guys, he just came off of a collarbone fracture like not long before this.
Yeah, he's had a lot of crashes in his day, but he does have the skill to kind of save himself from that particular little fumble.
Yeah, once I noticed it was him, I wasn't too concerned about it, but he did come in hot, and it spooked me just for a second until I saw the yellow jersey as the race leader. Because he was in the breakaway the day before this, and then he won the first day, so he's still holding that jersey.
Yeah, Robin is a fantastic bike racer. I mean, he won a stage of Tour of Britain that Wout was at. Like, that guy is not to be underestimated.
Yeah, I don't think anybody, myself included, is underestimating him. Like, definitely classy bike racer. Tour of California, Tour of Britain. I think he won a stage of Tour of California too. Yeah, he's in any case, he is a fantastic bike racer.
Yeah, they've hired some like top talent on that Legion team, and they can use it very well too.
I always wonder, totally off top, well, kind of on topic, how do those? Because you guys are domestic elite, right? Project
we're actually we're a continental team, so.
Oh, you are. My apologies.
Third tier of UCI.
Yeah, same with Legion, right?
Yeah.
So there's no salary minimums, is there?
No, not for Continental. There's no requirement to pay your riders.
And Pro Conti, there's minimums, but they're really low.
I mean, low is a.
Do you know what it is?
I think it's like 40K. It's
okay.
Not that low. It might be 25K, but I mean, I'd say that's enough to be a pro bike racer. Like you don't have to get another job.
Everything is paid, right? And generally, these guys are in their early 20s, or mid 20s or so. So and everything else is paid for. So yeah, totally. I just always wonder, and you don't have to speculate if you don't want, but I always just wonder, like, what does Legion pay their riders? I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty closely held secret, and I think it depends for them too.
Oh, 100%.
Obviously, contracts are going to be negotiated in different ways, but I don't think any of them has another, a day job that is required. They're full-time bike racers.
Right. They kind of have to be at that level, I think. And also, like, there's an interesting thing where they get return on that investment, right? If you're Legion management and you're making those contract decisions, even if you try to undercut, I'm not saying that they do that, but even if you try that on one of like your stronger riders, it might come back and bite you, because then the guy's like, well, okay, I guess I'll just go pick up a day job then and not be as fast, because if I can't focus on my training, right? It's an investment in your athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not like these guys are gonna, go full retirement on their bike racing salary. I'm not sure that the U.S. is quite in that state yet, but it's good that we have healthy teams like them and the other chartered teams for that organization.
If anybody's doing it, it's Legion, though. I'm willing to bet they have pretty decent sponsor, brand partnership sponsor dollars that they can spend. So they have a good model. I'm interested to see what they're doing, because another kind of unrelated thing as we continue racing our bikes here with 21 kilometers to go, is I just came back from NCL Denver, and that's like, whoa, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually watched those races, man. Those looked wild. That crash at the beginning, oh my goodness.
At Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd the guy go down? Because I have GoPro footage of it. I'm going to make a whole video about it. I'll share some thoughts here, though. But what did it look like on the live stream? I saw the guy was down, and I didn't know how it happened.
So from what I saw on the live stream, he just clipped the inside barrier and tomahawked, like totally over his bars. I've never seen
the inside barrier, like he cut it too tight?
Yeah, someone on his team said that the barrier just wasn't set up correctly, so it might have been something like that, or yeah, he just cut it too tight, something like that. He ended up, I think, puncturing a lung and doing a lot of other damage. Man. So best wishes for his recovery, but
yeah, speedy recovery. I think it was it a Texas Roadhouse guy, if I remember correctly?
No, he was on Supra.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I when I passed him, I got a bad start. I was towards the back, and by the time I came through, he was probably 5-6 seconds after his crash, and I heard the wailing. I could tell it was bad.
No.
Yeah, like the wind knocked out noise that you make.
Yeah, that's scary.
So, poor dude. Yeah, it was scary, and I saw it was just him, so I was grateful it was just him. But yeah, speedy recovery. It was. But let's talk about the format because I'm doing something though.
Oh, you're making it to a group, and there I am on the.
Are you chasing me again, dude? Knock it off.
I sat up now. I'm not doing that anymore.
Attaboy, thank you. Oh, I remember this moment. I was like, oh, this looks pretty good.
This does look good.
Because my boy Will's sitting up first and foremost. And also, I got Legion and MitoQ, who in the last couple of days proved to be the two strongest teams. Maybe Blazers would be up there too. But then we come around this corner and look at the speed coming down. I mean, we're still going 30. But I came here and I say something funny. Let's see if the GoPro picks it up. I don't know if you heard it. I was like, I'm no threat. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Because I was 30th or something on day 1, and then I was 25th on day 2. I have no Omnium points, so
right.
I'm come on, let's just roll it.
Yeah. And I mean, I actually saw the gap there. I counted. It looked huge, but it was 8 seconds.
It was 8 seconds, and now look, it's all together. Isn't that
back.
insane? That's just the nature of that downhill. People carry so much speed, 40 miles an hour coming down that thing. And that's really all it was. Isn't that nuts? I thought for sure we had a gap. And we did. We like you said, we looked in the rear cam and there was a gap, but yeah. Dang.
Bummer. Probably distance it was really big, but because you're going at such high speeds, the time gap is actually pretty low.
I appreciate the sit up though. You did that for me.
Anytime. I'll Saturn sit up on you anytime.
The Saturn sit up. I was about to say that. I didn't know if that joke made it all the way to the East Coast.
Oh no, it's renowned. It's renowned.
the renowned Saturn sit up. So NCL Denver. I didn't do Miami, but I kind of felt like I was there because I made a video about it and I had a bunch of footage from my teammate Sean. But then Denver happened, and I was luckily able to go, and I have almost all good things to say about it.
That's
awesome. I think it was fantastic. I think it was a lot of fun. I think they're doing something really cool and unique. They just need to do a better job executing some of these things. Let's talk about it for a bit. We got some time. Let's talk about it for a little bit. So you know the format, but in case people are listening to this, don't. It's points based. It's men's and women's teams. There's an equal number of points. There's an equal payout, and it's a joint effort. It's not like the men's team is its own thing. It's the men's and the women's team is its own squad, I guess. I can't use the word team again. It's its own squad. So every single lap, there are 3 points for first, 2 points for second, and 1 point for third. So every lap there's a sprint, and there's points on offer. There's a qualifier. The qualifier is kind of weird. I think they should get rid of it. That's my first gripe. It's in this case, it's on a stationary bike. They're doing something different for Atlanta. It's going to be a street sprint. But it's on a stationary bike. It's a power test, basically. It's a 3-minute power test. And whatever. It gets rid of the heart and soul of bike racing, if you ask me. Who can smash the most watts. Not a huge fan, but it is what it is. I wish they would get rid of it. 10% of the points are available for the qualifier. It also determines your gridding. So they grid like in car racing. So it's not just first person to the line is at the front, it's actually based on your qualifier.
Does that actually affect the start? Like, was your bad start related to your grid position?
We were like middle. I think we were 5th out of 10. I just had a bad clip in. It's not as consequential as the organizers think. I think the organizers are like, oh, this is so huge if you grid first. It's like not that big of a deal.
Right.
If they wanted it to be a big deal, they would make the grids further apart, you know, and 10th, qualifier 10th starts 100 meters further back. That would suck.
Yeah.
So they could make it more consequential if they want. I think they should get rid of the qualifier and not forget that bike racing's about like cornering and stuff too. Or make the qualifier like a single lap. That would be cool.
That is what I've always kind of wanted to see. I think you could get people hurt, but it would be cool to do a qualifier.
Be a spectacle. Yeah. So yeah, maybe a single lap. That would be a lot of fun. Otherwise, it's just a power competition and whatever. It's like an uphill time trial. It's not that exciting for the racers. Maybe I'm just sour grapes because I'm a sprinter, but it's just not a spectacle either. I don't know. Do you want to see somebody smashing on a trainer? It's like not that interesting to me, but
I did hear a few of the racers say they like went to that bar and watched the whole qualifying thing, and they didn't participate, but I would imagine sitting there in a bar, you know, chilling out, watching somebody go real hard on a trainer could be pretty interesting.
So it's like there's like a digital, like it's like a Zwift avatar. So they do their best to make it engaging.
Yeah.
Because it's not just who can average the most watts.
Nice.
There's actually like little avatars, and it's like it's a Zwift race essentially.
Yeah.
So anyway, then you line up its grid. It's not as consequential as you think. There is an advantage to gridding first, obviously, but it's like not that big of a deal. I took 2 good corners, and then I was like at the front again. So, so there's that. But yeah, points on every single lap, and then the finish. They have changed the format a little bit. They're learning as they go. The finish has 30 points available. 30% available, which actually is 30 points. 30 points for first, and it's like 8 points for second. So it's a much bigger prize, much bigger reward in points for the finish of the race, which is good because they changed that from Miami, which is I think it was only 10 points available. So
that makes it very consequential.
Oh, look, I'm gonna follow.
There you go.
Thunder Thighs, Iman.
This actually, this brings a point up about the NCL for me, is that we were discussing this. There's no incentive to lap the field. Like, you don't get extra points. You're just back in the field.
Oh, dude, I had a lot of thoughts about that. I'm so glad you brought that up because, yes, if you're out in a breakaway, you're collecting all the points. And if you lap, that stops. I think there's a bonus if you lap, but it was not that many points. So there could be a situation. Now follow me because this is really interesting.
Just stay 10 meters behind the field.
Yes, but then the field's like, we don't want them to do that. So then the field slows down, and then the breakaway slows down. Oh, this is a preem lap, by the way.
Oh.
And I thought I was going to get it, and then Kaler goes, and I'm like, and at this point, I already know I'm not going to get the preem because he got a jump on me. But at this point, I'm like, oh, this, you know, we already had a gap in that group with Iman. This could be something, right? Like, guys, remember priority 1 for me is join a breakaway in this race. So I'm kind of beating my head against the wall. I'll keep trying, and this looked really good because now we have a pretty significant gap.
That is a big gap. I don't know. I think you could have gotten that preem though. You laid off the pedals with like 200 meters to go.
I did, and the heart rate's not even that high. I can still go quite a bit more, but the problem is he just kind of stopped. I think he just really committed to that $50 or $100 or whatever it was. And then just, again, single file behind. It's just so hard to snap the elastic on this course.
They're already back on, yeah.
Is that crazy?
That's a pity because he would have been a good guy to roll a break with, too. He works pretty well in a group.
100%, and that was one of the reasons I committed.
Oh.
Yeah, hard to get away on this course, but I kept trying, man. It wasn't for lack of effort, that's for sure.
Yep.
So where were we on NCL? We were talking about points. Sorry, what?
Lapping the field.
Oh, lapping the field. Okay, so that's right. So the field will be like, we're going to slow down because we want to get lapped. And then the break is going to be like, we're going to slow down because we don't want to lap. And there could be a situation where literally there's like track standing going on. I'm not even kidding. Like that's a realistic situation.
It's possible.
So they need to do something about that. I'll talk about all this in the video again. I'm going to make a whole video about my experience in Denver. But that's interesting. And then the other thing is substitutions, which I have a love-hate relationship with these substitutions. It's wild, guys. There are substitutions. You literally go into a pit like you're an F1 car, and you cross a line, and then about 75 meters ahead of you, there's another line where your teammate is waiting, and then an official says, okay, you can go. And therein lies the problem. By the way, I went from 1st to 30th that quickly, guys. That's how it works out here. But yeah, substitutions. I like the idea in principle because it adds this new dynamic and this new strategy. And we got it wrong on Mike's bikes. We can talk about why. But part of the problem is you come in, you cross a line on the ground, and then an official at that exact moment has to tell your teammate, oh, Mike's bikes, you can go. Whoa. So the official has to know the team names, the jersey colors from 75 meters away, by the way, and get it exactly at the right time when potentially, several 5, 7, 8 riders are all crossing the line at the same time. It was a mess.
I did see an official trying to hold up like different groups of riders at a certain point. That seemed like a job I would not want to have.
Oh, I was there. I got good footage of exactly what you're describing, of somebody jumping the gun, because the difference between 1 second and like 3 seconds is huge in bike racing. So yeah, there were people jumping the gun. The official was yelling at them. They were stopping. Some of them weren't stopping. Other people weren't getting called fast enough. There was a delay, and it was just kind of a mess. And here's my thing: there were sensors on your fork. You put a sensor on your fork, like a timing chip, right, for determining who crosses the finish line first. They under that line into the pit, they also had a sensor. So the infrastructure is there. The technology is there. Here's what they need. I know it sounds kind of far off, but they also have a lot of money. So they need a gate. Dude, how sick would this be?
Oh.
Like in BMX racing.
Yeah.
So every team has a designated gate. So the second my teammate, his chip crosses this line on the ground, my gate opens, and I can pedal. So there's no guesswork. That's where it's at.
That would be really cool. That would be a fun race to do as well. You just start.
That's where it's at. Because then you don't have riders like jumping the gun, and then there's not so much pressure on the officials. It was just, here I'm moving up.
Ooh,
look at this line. Look at this line. Go, Jeff,
man.
go.
That's 800 watts. And
yeah, I just wanted to look at that. I found a little spot too. Barely even had to slow down. Sorry, Johnny. I don't think I even interfered with Johnny when
he didn't lose that much momentum.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked with that move. Those are the moments we talked about 30 minutes ago in this long form, where I was like, sometimes you just got to get out and do a bunch of power when you see an opportunity. That was one of them.
Move up when you can.
Yeah, don't, and you'll always regret if you're like, man, I had a good opportunity to get out and move up. Like you'll almost never regret that.
Yeah,
so NCL is cool. I'll make a whole video about it, but I think that they should rethink. I don't want to say they should squash the qualifier. They should rethink the qualifier, and they just need to put some more institutional controls into the whatever we're calling it, the substitutions. Yeah.
I think the lapped rider thing could be solved with the simple, 20 points awarded if you lap the field thing.
Fat bonus, exactly. Fat
which,
bonus.
I mean, is implemented in the track already, and that's been working for decades. So I think they can sort around their rule hiccups pretty easily.
I just hope that they make it that far, because already they've canceled one race, they postponed another, and I just hope they make it that far. Really, when they were like, "Hey, can you come out and make this video?" I was like, "Yes."
They did take on a pretty monster challenge of hosting. Their original plan was 4 races in a year, just brand new races out of nowhere.
4 brand new races with a new format. They own all the media. Like they host all the media. They started 2 teams. They're doing everything. I think it's very ambitious. Don't get me wrong, but they bit off a big chunk of this sport, and they're trying to redefine it, and more power to them. I think they're on to something, but it's very beta right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't the final release. So hopefully they last long enough to get all the kinks worked out, because I think it's a lot of fun. And by the way, guys, this is not for your local. This isn't changing your local crit, because this will never be implemented on like a local grassroots level.
Actually, it has been. We've had in North Carolina, we've had a Ring of Fire race, a points race, um, for a long time now.
So some aspects, like the points aspect, can be implemented locally, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like
And
substitutions with like timing chips, like there is just a really high organizational and financial barrier to implement this the way that NCL wants to. They're NCL. It's like, do you see similarities? NCL, NBA, MLB. You know, it's like they're trying to be the bike racing league. And again, like I said, I hope that they just last long enough to work out the kinks and get there, because this is fun to watch. It's exciting. You're not sitting there waiting 75 minutes for like grand finale of a sprint, which I know can be hard for fans. You're looking at an enormous billboard with constantly updated rankings and scores, and you get to see, you know, a women's race and a men's race back to back at the highest level, and I think there's something there for sure.
absolutely, I really do enjoy. Watching the women's race at Denver was awesome. Like that race was one of the best races I think I've seen this year. It looked savage.
Dude, that race blew up so quick. It was a fun course, low key too. Like I had fun on that course. It was flowy. The corners were like just technical enough. It was kind of longer. It was like a mile and a half, I think. Had a good stiff crosswind on certain sections, into a tailwind, into a, you know, it was dynamic. It was a lot of fun, and you were rewarded for being, you know, bold through the corners. Ooh, another good outside line there. I was liking that.
Yeah, you're
because we're 9
really
kilometers to go now. We're getting there.
Is
this you next to me?
Laps. Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's definitely Sam on the inside.
That might be.
That's me up front, I think.
Oh no, there you are.
Oh yeah,
You're
that is me.
on the left now.
There I
Lucky
am.
number 13.
So I'm sweeping Sam there.
Just like you said, you guys execute. So the three of you are together. Ethan, I think I got a peep of him. He's even further up. You're sweeping, just like you said, almost like you know, you have a plan and you execute. How about that?
Right. Yeah, we get there, we get together. You know, we've got to see each other the next morning over cereal. So want the vibes to be high, knowing that we executed our jobs. But we actually, to make a point on, you see, we moved up a lot on the inside there, which this is a rare case of that happening. We did actually figure out that the left side, or the inside of the course, was probably not the ideal place to be, and yeah, Sam communicated that to us. But it's hard to move across when you have all your guys together.
Yeah, because you don't want to, like what I did a few laps ago. I did find a good inside line. It was rare that I found that line, but I did a few laps ago. We talked about it. When I'm by myself, I can take this, like, jam up the inside and then tuck in real fast. But if I have two teammates on my wheel, that's not the move, right?
Right. It's hard to bring a bunch of guys with you on a line that's only fit for one.
Yeah, you always have to be mindful when you have teammates, especially in the closing laps here, about keeping the train together. Like, don't take that high risk line. Pop out in the wind and you know, do some watts, eat some wind instead if it's going to keep the team together, because that's how you're going to find best results. Like, stay together, you're going to have a better individual result. But me, yeah. I'm flying solo. I'm doing whatever the hell I want. I'm finding any little gap I can fit my front wheel in, basically, at this point, because now we're, I think, 6.5, or is it 7.5 laps to go? It's something like that. I think probably 7.5. I think they're 1 kilometer laps.
Yeah, that sounds right. And I mean, this course did play to like solo riding. You can see Texas Roadhouse there riding together, but I mean, almost if you're on your own, you can take lines that, like we were talking about before, you can take those lines where a group couldn't make it through, like that one right there. Like, now you've moved up, and you couldn't have done that with the team on your wheel.
You could have. I just wouldn't have had a team on my wheel anymore. Later, guys. Good luck. Yeah, we try not to do that. Your racing changes a little bit, and as we get further into the series, my teammate Ryan comes out, one teammate. But even still, it changes the way we race when we're together. I try to make sure that I always make space for my teammate when I know he's behind me, and he does the same for me.
Yeah.
And I see you guys again here up on the left-hand side, just like we talked about 45 minutes ago. You guys are going to be behind Legion, behind Blazers, and you're going to be patiently waiting for your time to move up, make sure that the squad stays together, power in numbers sort of thing. Even when there's 4, you can do a lot of damage with 4 strong guys, caliber that you guys have in the closing laps, and get your sprinter in a good position.
Yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
again, I'm just trying to find openings where I can, and here's where people decide it's time to go to
He's
school, I
going.
guess. Yeah,
Yes.
they're gonna go up into the little parking loop and just come right back into the race. I should have found that line earlier, man.
I'm not entirely certain if this was the one, but I think what had actually happened there is my teammate Hugo, his GoPro fell off his saddle. So they had to do some like dodging around that. I think that's what actually caused that little course deviation.
Hey, I always say content first, but you guys take it to the next level.
That's it.
Yeah, you guys are looking chill. I just saw 19. That must be Hugo looking back, like making sure his teammates are still on. Like you guys are controlled, and it's looking comfortable. Like, look, is Ethan just not the smoothest guy on a bike? He always looks so chill. He's like on the hoods, like no worries. We're 6 kilometers to go. I'm not worried about it. He always looks so chill and calm.
He noodles around a lot too. Like he moves his body on the bike more than your average bear. And you can actually see now our little group is separated. I think Hugo got pinched into that third corner. So now we have Ethan up here, but the rest of the guys, I've got to move them up back there. So yeah, now Hugo and Sam are coming back up.
Yep, here you guys come.
Mm-hmm. And this is that like that costs energy if you're in a group together.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. But you guys are gonna not panic because we still have a little bit of time left and you're gonna get back together. But this is one of those moments where I was like, dang, I wish this was 2 laps to go instead of 6 laps to go.
Would have been an ideal position.
This is pretty close to ideal. I think I'd probably want to be about 3 or 4 more riders up. But yeah, this is looking good because don't forget, guys, when it's lined up like this at this level of racing, there are lead outs. So Legion is up there with 7, 8 riders. Blazers is up there with 7, 8 riders. They're going to time it where they are towing their sprinter into 200 meters to go, and they're good at timing it, by the way, where all of them are dropped except their sprinter until 200 meters to go. So even though there's 15, 20 riders in front of you, really you can only imagine there's only like 7 riders in front of you, or even 5 riders in front of you, because that's the realistic situation at this point in the race. So I did lose too many wheels going through the 3 and 4, and looks like I'm going to try to make up for it here on the backside because we're getting down to it now, huh?
And these little efforts, I mean, they do cost you later in the race, but it's not like the guys in the front aren't doing quite the same thing. So being back here compared to being, 5 wheels farther up, see that swarm's happening up there too. So yeah, you just kind of got to gamble when's a good time to move into that prime position.
God, see that lateral move? That's so terrifying. I think he just touched wheels and got spooked a little bit. But yeah, you're totally right. I think the only place where that stop and go and that inefficient style of riding isn't happening is really just at the end of the leadouts, and that's the purpose of the leadout. Oh, I'm going to follow this.
Oh yeah,
this is good. Yeah, this is looking good. A little tap. He's going to bring his sprinter with him. Absolutely. Aviators are trying to get organized. And I'm just going to definitely try to capitalize on that and just look at this ride I'm getting. Like that's pretty rare to find at this point in the race. I got kind of lucky there. I'm looking at this. I really want to protect the right side. And okay, so I do end up getting over to the right a little bit more. I just didn't want anybody to dive up the right.
Yep. And I mean, getting too hyper focused on one side can cause stuff like too many people coming on the inside happening. So yeah, you've got to kind of have that awareness of all sides into those corners there, which is hard to do when you're on your own.
God, I wish I was wearing a light blue jersey right here. This would have been so much more fun racing with you guys in this moment. I'm just looking at how organized it is, and I'm right there with you guys for the last 5 laps or whatever we've been talking. But alas, we're not teammates. We're frenemies.
Right.
So yeah, another moment here where we're 3 to go, and I'm pretty much right where I want to be. I kind of wish this was 1 to go. I'm sure you guys do too, because you're right here in the mix as well.
Yeah, we're set up pretty well. I think, it would be ideal if we had like all 4 guys together here. I guess I'm a little farther back. And yeah, it's just the 3 of them together at the moment. Unless that's me on the inside. But yeah, like this is good position for you and for us. Oh yeah, there I am. So
You
yeah,
guys are all together.
I think ideally we'd have like this would be the last lap or 2 to go or something like that.
And
but,
this is when you guys can get to the front because you have numbers,
Right.
And you know, you and Hugo can just smash for like this entire 500 meter straight, and
Yep.
then get your guys like right up next to Legion, for example, and just really prep them for those final moments of the race. Assuming this were last lap, but this isn't. This is 2.5 laps to go, and look how crowded. Oh my God, I just lost 6 positions or something like that. No bueno.
And you can see me actually moving up on the inside there. I'm doing my sweeping duties. So there was a guy that actually caused that little surge, or having to do that surge. So I've got to like push him out of the train now. Essentially, is my job. So yeah, we're both doing surges, but just for different reasons at the same time.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking about how much energy do I have for the final 200 meters, and you're like, can I get my guy as fresh as possible to 200 meters? It's a big difference in motivation. But I'm 168 beats per minute. Like, I'm still chill. Like, guys, we got another 10 beats per minute. This is 2 laps to go. I'm still thinking like I'm going to be able to rip off a sprint here. This is still looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And I do need to make up a few more spots if possible, but I'm kind of just a little bit further back than I want to be right now. And I'm in that washing machine that we talked about. You can see how surgy it is. Front riders are not doing surges up to 800 watts like I am right now.
But luckily you're on the right side, so you can follow a good wave if it presents itself.
I'm looking for one. That's kind of what I need because I don't have that horsepower. I'm going to try, it looks like.
There it is.
I'm going to I'm not the type of rider that can smash up the outside at 800 watts, get into position, and then uncork the sprint. At this point in the race, that would be my sprint, which is better than, like, I'd rather be in position and not have sprint legs left than not be in position and have sprint legs left. Like, that's for sure. But I kind of want my cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? Nobody makes mistakes at this level. Not significant ones, at least. You know, at a local race at this point, I could maybe follow somebody who's going to try that last lap desperate attack and like get a free ride. That's the dream situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this course has been fast enough to where I think, yeah, you can see guys are just getting sorted out who like don't believe that they can win that sprint. But then you still have like 10 guys up here who maybe don't have the best chance to win the sprint, but they're going to try as hard as they can still.
Right. And when Amma flicked me through right there and that gap opened up, I was like, oh, that's no good. Like,
yeah,
that's no good. Because I was like, Amma, sweet, you know, national champion. But he's like in the middle of a training block. Like, he was not the guy to follow on this day. And I learned the hard way because now I'm doing 1,000 watts and just maintaining. I can see you guys up there. You are 2 wheels ahead of me.
Yep.
But you're doing sweeper duties. Like, I need to be in front of you at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best. Outside line here, if I had the energy, I would have popped out and given it another rip. But like, the sprinters are there. Like, I can still see it. The position's still not that bad. But we're coming in to the infamous corner number 3, and look how
it gets ugly here.
It does get really ugly. Robin goes into the grass. I'm on the brakes, and then I'm back up to 1,000 watts, and then I get pushed out to the side. How dare you? Is that you? That is you. I didn't actually get pushed that much. My day was kind of done. I'm 174 beats now, and I'm gonna sprint. I don't know what I was. I think I was top 20, but just barely. Sprinting's hard, man.
The same thing.
Sprinting's hard, dude.
It is hard, man. You got to have a lot of gas left at the end.
Hey, where'd you guys end up with all your efforts?
Oh, I think for this day we got a top 5 for sure. It might have been 3rd or 4th place that we got.
Sam's no joke. Dude makes 1750.
He is good at some fast sprints.
Yep. And the winner was Ty. He did. But he made a funny Instagram post. It was like, can confirm that SRAM 5210 can get you up to 45 miles an hour. It was something like that. And I was like, holy smokes, that downhill sprint was screaming fast. And he's a tough guy to beat in a drag race like that.
Yeah, he can open it up, and not many people can match that.
Dude, I can't believe the 75 minutes has gone that quick. I had a blast.
Absolutely, me too. Thank you.
Vote below with your comments or your thumbs up if you guys want more of this. I love these because the editing is super easy. So I don't have to tell you, Will. Editing is hard. So I want you guys also to go check out Will's channel. Another reminder to go do that. I'll leave a link in the description. He makes amazing content. So, Will, great having you on, man. We'll do another one for tomorrow's stage. How about that?
Sounds good. See you tomorrow.